Hey guys, it's Jesus McDonald here. Today's guest is Matthew Holman. Matthew, thanks for joining the show.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes. Now, for those who don't know Matthew, let me provide you a short bio. Now, Matthew, if I chop this up, please feel free to correct me. Okay.
Right.
Now, Matthew Holman is the head of growth at QPilot, an e-commerce technology startup focused on repeat delivery. His passion for both technology and marketing find a perfect blend in e-commerce, something that he has worked in as a consultant and operator. Before joining QPilot, he led marketing at Essential Hub, a shipping and technology company. And the rest is history.
That's right.
But yes, thank you for your time, Matthew. Thank you for joining the show. And yes, I like the short bio, short and sweet.
Oh, do you normally get ones that are a lot longer? I struggle to write more than a couple sentences.
It's a blend, actually. No, it's a good question. It's a blend of short sentences and really long ones where I'm like, I'm just going to share like maybe two paragraphs.
That makes sense.
But sometimes I just know from our audience, sometimes they like it, but majority are like, let's just get to the meat.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, thanks for joining the show again. And thanks for your time. Let's dive right into the questions, right? This is the moment that everyone's been waiting for. So what inspired you to choose a career in marketing?
Well, it's interesting. So I was a graphic designer for a long time, and actually a few years ago wanted to switch up careers. And kind of like you read in my bio, I've always loved technology. I've always loved psychology that goes into marketing, and I really love e-commerce. And as kind of a later in years kind of guy, I mean, I was a little concerned about, I wanted to be a marketer because I loved that. To me, that was the best part about being in graphic design, was getting people to understand things and take actions. And, but I was a little concerned that restarting my career, so to speak, it would be hard because I'd be going up against all these like 22 and 23-year-olds who could work 80 hours a week and we're all, Snapchat experts. So for me, I actually got a degree in information systems. So I'm in Utah, Silicon Slopes out here. We're the, little brother to Silicon Valley. I mean, very little brother, but definitely wanted to get involved in technology just because I felt like, technology is so innovative and I was changing. And I ended up working at a tech company and doing some e-commerce stuff, and just kind of ended up gravitating towards marketing anyway. So it's just kind of funny that I set out to.
That's interesting.
I wanted to do marketing, but was scared about maybe the opportunities that would be there for somebody who's changing careers, and ended up doing it anyway because that's just what my passion was in. So I had the opportunity at a couple of companies to start making suggestions and proposals, and then next thing you know, I was running the show. So
yeah. Now, graphic designing, that's very unique skill. What did you enjoy the most in regards to graphic designing?
So graphic design is this interesting thing. I think you can probably appreciate this from a website design, but you get people who say okay, I want to say this and this and this. I've got, I need to all these warnings and all this information. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, that sign is 18 inches tall and 12 inches wide, right? And so to put all that text on there will be a ½ inch tall and no one will be able to read it.
Right.
So much of design in signs and printing is you have to pick what you're going to say. So it's very much this idea of I can't, if you just tell me what to make, oftentimes it comes out of garbage. So realistically, as a designer, I need to know what you want to happen. Do you want someone to not step here? Do you want someone to know that there's a new program that they can get? You have to know what the objective is so that you can help craft that messaging and that information. And then you're constrained by physical dimensions of either a sign or print or business card or something like that. And so you have to be very limited and limiting. And so I always loved that. And that's why I wanted to I've done getting into website design and marketing as well, because it's kind of like that natural extension of understanding it. As a society, we often want to do big data dumps, hey, I do all these amazing things and just check out everything I can do. It's so amazing. And it's no, I need to speak to the persona. I've got to be very quick. I've got to be very concise. And if I'm good at that, people will want more information.
Totally. It makes me think about when clients want a billboard and you're like, we don't have the dimensions of a billboard on a website.
Exactly.
You need to cut that to short messaging.
Exactly.
No, I know we're both part of DGMG, which is Dave
Yes.
Gerhardt's marketing group, which is pretty awesome.
It
What
is.
have you learned personally from this group?
Yeah. So for me, I think I found DGMG at a great time when I was starting to figure some stuff out in marketing. And Dave makes, I think, a point that I recommend that I make this recommendation to everybody now. It's that one skill question, right? What's the one thing I should be better at as a marketer? And that's copywriting. So for me, it's like I signed up for some courses, was reading books, and obviously in my career, I was able to employ some of that stuff. And that's where I started to see better email open rates and better messaging on my ads and better website copy. And so for me, copywriting is like kind of about everything. And so that's the biggest thing I've taken from that is that advice. But then ultimately, it's just a great group for like, I feel it's very grounding because as marketers, we're often same thing. Our customers come to us with so many different ideas, or our companies, we want to try so many things. And oftentimes that group is just great for like, okay, now let's focus on this. What is this? How is happening? Like, okay, you're getting these many website users. Can you boost conversions a little bit, right? You don't need to redo everything, So that to me, that's kind of the biggest benefit of the group.
Yeah, and I'm part of the group as well too, and I've really enjoyed the community, and everyone's just really supporting each other. We're all B2B marketers, just trying to make it in the trenches, right?
Right. Exactly.
So yes, no, that's definitely one question that I wanted to ask. And you're the first person that asked that question too, because I noticed that we were both in the group. So yeah, a lot of exciting things.
Yeah.
Another question that I have for you is, what's a commonly held belief in B2B marketing that you passionately disagree with?
Yeah. So I get into arguments on LinkedIn in DGMG group all the time. And that's this idea that people think that B2B and B2C are different. And so I think something we're going to talk about more, which is how we originally connected in the first place, is because of what you're doing with B2B. It's this idea that we like B2B is like in this like weird silo of like how it, you have to talk a certain way in B2B, whereas B2C is full of all this innovation. Like I was joking about Snapchat, TikTok, there's so many apps and so many different channels of communicating with customers that are all being innovated for B2C, and B2B is often just like, oh no, we don't do that, or we can't do that. And I think we're seeing great examples of really strong brands that are finding new and creative ways to innovate. Like one of the favorite ones I saw recently last year, like Netflix was getting into like these little Twitter wars where they were making jokes and puns about like Netflix and chill, right? Like they were being really, really innovative on that. And that's a B2C brand, but it was showing other big brands how they can behave and how they can interact with people. And so for me, that's the thing that I argue about. Like real great marketing is understanding who your customer is, understanding who's like interacting with you before they're a customer, and basically understanding their pain points. If I can't speak to something that's wrong, then I'm never going to get to them. Listen, so I've worked in both. Like I've done B2C marketing and e-commerce stuff. And so for me, it's like very much the same thing. Like if I can't craft messaging that speaks to my audience on a B2B side of things, they're not going to listen. And so for me, that's why, again, that's my biggest thing is like, there really isn't a difference within B2C, within B2B. There's different industries, there are different tactics, there are different channels. Yes, that's true. But at the end of the day, you're marketing to a person, and you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. And I've been seeing that like with B2B and B2C, a lot more push from, people like Dave Gerhardt, where it's like humanize the whole process. You're not talking business to business, it's humans to humans, and you do business with humans, right? Have you had to change your approach in regards to your marketing strategy? I know you mentioned talking about copywriting. Did you have to change your approach too? Kind of like, oh yeah, I have to consider that I am talking to a human specifically.
So for me, the trap that I often fall into, and I think it's a really common one, is actually this idea that like we forget, I forget what actual ads I think that I like to interact with, or things that I think are really like talking over people. Right. So like, it's this idea of like, it's like the next step. It's B2B and B2C, treat them like they're people, but then also don't talk at people, try to engage with people. And so to me, that's the kind of the biggest trap that I fall into regularly, is that I write this really, really cool ad that nobody's ever going to read because it's not real. It's talking at somebody, or it's telling somebody something instead of like trying to share an idea or share a secret, like,
Yeah.
again, some of the best B2C brands are like teaching us how to do this, which is like, it's like, hey, like, do you care about this? Or like, hey, what are you doing for this? And they're very simple stuff, but those are kind of the techniques you need to use to try to engage your audience.
I love it. Now, you're currently head of growth at QPilot. What do you do in this specific role, and how has it been different from other marketing roles that you've had? Because you were director of marketing at one point, and then
right.
handling other things.
So my previous company, Essential Hub, they had a strong sales organization, and so marketing was kind of like had been an afterthought. And so it was interesting to do because there wasn't a ton of pressure, right? Like sales was already killing it and crushing it. And so marketing was really we were just trying to find ways to scale a lot of their efforts to create sales materials, basically streamline what they were already doing and then start to open up new avenues. So there was a lot of testing and experimenting involved, which is kind of fun for a marketer because, again, there's not a ton of pressure the company's not going to die if you're unsuccessful. So right. QPilot, I joined QPilot. It's a little bit earlier stage in that we haven't raised any money and it's a very small team. And realistically, I'm the only full-time marketing person. We're using contractors for some other roles. And so QPilot is very much a product-led company. And so launching growth efforts kind of from the beginning is a totally different thing because now it's like, hey, there's 20 different ways I could go after customers. There's right. there's different paid ad channel strategies. There's direct outreach. There's agency partnerships. There's all kinds of ways that we could try to scale the company. And so I was doing a little part-time in the fall and I've been there almost 6 months now. And so I'm still in the thick of the trenches of trying to make sure, focusing on what we need to focus on and throwing aside stuff that aren't working and keep working through the testing and stuff. It's been a fascinating and amazing experience. And just really excited to continue to see how it goes. So,
and how many sales reps or managers are on the team?
Oh, we don't have a sales team.
No sales team? I thought you said this. So this is all word of mouth?
The previous company had sales. Our stuff has been done. Our stuff has been handled by the founder doing sales himself originally. Yeah. And then now it's interesting from it's a technology product and it's got really strong documentation and onboarding. So it's really, if I can just get qualified leads in, then those people can get handed off to support and get implemented. So that's kind of what makes it interesting for a sale. The sales cycle is a little bit different, but we're definitely starting to experiment with this idea of adding direct outreach and using account managers to facilitate that experience as well.
So you want to talk a little bit about what the company does?
Sure. Yeah. So, and I think one of the reasons it's so interesting for B2B and B2C is we're talking about repeat delivery. So in the B2C context, that's most commonly referred to as subscriptions, right? So I'm getting pet food, I'm getting supplements, CBD, we're really big in that space. But we actually have B2B merchants as well who are using this for, say, like selling health medical supplies, cleaning supplies. One of our customers sells water filtration units to buildings, right? Mm-hmm. And then gets them to sign up on the filters, the replacement filters themselves that they'll get a year from now. Mm-hmm. So our technology is really focused about creating something that's much more dynamic and flexible so that, subscriptions are kind of like a negative buzzword in some sense because you just think somebody's just trying to hit your credit card. So we're really focused on delivery outcomes. So if you need your stuff, like we're strong in food delivery space, raw food, because those things are really, really susceptible to problems or change. So that's something that we do well with. So again, so it's just about repeat delivery, about making an experience that's really memorable and flexible for the end user. And so, I can just keep rattling on.
Yeah. Now, how did the founder do sales? This actually just made me curious to know.
Sure. So I think a lot of what he was doing, what he did at first was was really clever and got a domain, autoship.cloud. And so he was able to write some early articles and website it's called Autoship for WooCommerce. So that's the first platform we were on. And so I was able to start getting a little bit of organic reach, and then sharing it, being active in the WooCommerce community as a developer community is really active. So, you start showing it to people, you start demoing it to people, doing direct outreach, agencies looking for those solutions that they're developing for clients. And we have a really, really sticky solution. What we do is it's pretty powerful. And so the churn rate's super low. And so we get some decent referrals out of that space as well. But yeah, it's really,
so he was a copywriter. He was kind of a copywriter in himself.
Oh yeah, definitely. He made some good videos early on and promoted them a little bit, and then started to, share those out there. And then,
that's awesome.
He's got some of his own connections from his own consulting days, because from when he used to build out integrations and stuff too. So it's pretty awesome to join a team where somebody's built a really solid product and a really great way to share it. And now just figuring out how to scale that. So
totally. And you don't really hear a lot of founders doing the grunt work, right? Like copywriting, or they don't want to put themselves out there.
Right.
They usually get the salesperson and be like, that's the salesperson's job. That's the marketer's job. So That's awesome. You got lucky.
Yeah, I did.
Now, do you have any advice or tips for B2B marketing professionals?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really easy to get lost in the allure of all the different channels, and the idea that we, might have some great idea. So, when you come in new to a company, or you're at a company and you just think, oh, if only I could just do this, we'd change the game. I think there's definitely needs to be an element of testing, 10 to 15% of your time, and some of those home runs. But I think the biggest thing, honestly, is trying to figure out what has worked to get you to that point, and then figure out how you can scale that better. So to be specific, like with me and QPilot. So as we just mentioned, QPilot was great from a product marketing standpoint, is that David was great at showing people how the product worked, and figuring out what was the real differentiator between what we did and what competitors are doing, but even more so, like, what were the reasons why people were coming to us. And so so that process of like, you're trying to identify where people are how people are coming in and the why, and then using those two pieces to try to scale that. So we're continuing with product marketing, with developing videos about how stuff works and what we can do. But it's not so much about showing off what we can do, but rather showing off how people are using us. And so and those reasons of why somebody went from option A to QPilot, those are really, really important, and ones that we're constantly having top of mind, because we don't want to get too lost in the, hey, we have this amazing coupon feature. And yes, our merchants all love our coupon feature, but the reason people come to us is because of how good we are with delivery. So we need to always be talking about delivery. Normal subscription software doesn't talk about delivery. We talk about delivery.
And if someone had no clue about what the heck delivery is,
so
how would you break it down for them?
Well, I'll say it to you like this. So if you're running because we're doing B2B, we're selling to e-commerce companies. So imagine you've started your dream job of selling protein powder, right? You develop the special mix that's great for your workouts, and you start selling that online and scaling that. Subscription software is really great at making it possible for you to schedule like a repeat occurrence of orders, so you can get people to sign up. What it doesn't do is, if an end consumer wants to change it, if they want to double their order, your shipping doesn't recalculate. If they want to change where they get it, your shipping doesn't recalculate. If they want to add a new product, you don't have inventory available through subscription software. Like, those things just don't.
It's a lot of back end things. Yeah.
It's a lot of back end things. And so what we like to say, like, oh, we create this amazing experience. It's like, unless you actually are trying to deliver that experience, like, that just sounds like a buzzword. So if I'm talking to a merchant out there who knows how hard it is to create like this really great reordering experience where customers can manage and change whatever they want, and it doesn't affect your shipping and it doesn't affect your inventory, or it syncs with those things, like, you're not going to care, right? So and again, and that's what's important though. It's important that for the customers that we get and that really like us, they know the problem around shipping. They know they're losing margin, and they know they have customers that want to change their stuff and they can't. And those are the ones that we can help. So essentially, if I get that marketing message right, when I demo for somebody, they're like, geez, where have you guys been? I've been looking for you. You know, it's
Right.
like, because I'm getting that front end marketing right, that demo becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, that's great tips. And yeah, the more you narrow down to the pressure points or the pain points of your ideal customer, it goes a long way. It's inbound 100%.
Yep.
Now, one of the things I was also going to mention too, well, going back, I know I'm going on rants and you're pulling us back. I love it.
Let's go.
Is even with subscriptions, right? To me, I'm like, Amazon is the standard. So to me, I'm like, that's my standard when I think about
subscriptions,
Netflix. Like those are the standard from a user experience, right?
Right.
So when I think of delivery and all this stuff, I guess I take it for granted because I don't know the back end so much and how difficult it is. And so you kind of give some context to that.
Yeah, well, I'll ask you this: like, do you have an active Amazon subscribe and save?
Yeah.
Because yeah, so
auto renews.
Having one like auto renews, right? Okay. Well, so yeah, so Amazon subscription, but then they do stuff with their products where like you can order something on repeat. So like those are the
ongoing.
Yeah. So like, what's interesting is like Amazon makes it possible to manage that a little bit, but they still don't go to the level of like if you think about Dollar Shave Club or Chewy, like some of these like really great innovative brands, they're creating incredible repeat delivery experiences. That's the kind of stuff we're shooting for. So
that's
yeah,
good marketing right there. Dollar Shave Club.
It really is. Yeah, I mean, that's a product I love and I use, and I
love it.
Yeah. I mean, they make it so easy for you to change what you want when you want, add stuff, take it away, pause it, put it on the frequency you want, and that, you know, it's super easy.
More
and
power to the user.
Yeah, and that's what brands need to do if they want to really scale that. You keep that retention model in place, because otherwise people are a little mistrusting of that, and then, you know, once you run into one difficulty, you know, they're going to churn and they're gone.
I love that. You should use that line. More power for the user.
More power for the user. I like that.
Last thing I was going to mention is I'm trying to spice things up, and not to put you on the spot, but you are going to be the first person that I do this, Matt. Do you have any questions for me? It can be anything regarding podcasting, LinkedIn, websites, you name it.
Yeah, I'm curious to know more about like we originally connected, like you do B2B website design. So like kind of like what I was talking about, how my pet peeve is, you know, how B2B and B2C are handled differently. So I guess my question is part rant, part question, which is, how are you working or showing your B2B companies how they can be more innovative in their experiences like a B2C brand might be? Like, how are you trying to improve the on-site experience for their users?
Yeah, so one of the things is page speed. Page speed is huge.
Okay.
And again, I think of it as B2C or B2B. Like if you want page speed to enhance the user experience, and then that's kind of the way to go. And that's what Google really cares about right now too, is user experience and page speed. I would say those take majority of everything. And that's one of the things from B2B companies when that come to us is we want to provide an amazing user experience. And we also want to up our page speed. It takes forever to load the page. And so we take that into consideration. And some of them want to see a website theme. Some of them just want to see a mock-up right off the bat.
Okay.
And what we've been seeing is a lot of 2021 trends, which is, you know, Tesla and Salesforce kind of have these trends where it's storytelling. They're telling a story. They have shapes, circles, triangles, rectangles on their site, very animated. And they're talking to a human, which we talked about before too, right? And the storytelling, it's connecting as you go. Features, things are like popping on the screen, flying from the right to left. Yeah. Right. But that seems to be the 2021 trends that we've been seeing from a lot of B2B companies, SaaS companies specifically too.
Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, when you talk about load speed, I mean, I definitely think like that's something that's stressed heavily in B2C, because like, you know, if the cart doesn't load fast, if the product page doesn't load fast,
with e-commerce, yeah,
right. But then you think about B2B, I mean, it's the same thing. If the page doesn't load quickly, like I'm gone. I'm not even it doesn't matter how good your messaging is if your page isn't loaded quickly.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's even the user experience too, right? Because I could have a bad internet connection and I'm on your website for QPilot, but
Right.
I'll blame you. I won't blame my internet connection. So if you don't have the best page speed, it's just going to provide them a worse experience.
Right.
And that's the thing that we just went through a redesign for our company, JRM Marketing. And that was one thing I was like, I want to make sure we're in the green for everything, for performance, for SEO, best practices, accessibility, everything. Which I'm very proud of our development team because we were able to get all 4 categories in green.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's a common problem that you're seeing with, like, when you're talking about design, when you're addressing that with your B2B customers? Like, what's a common, after page speed and user experience, like what's a common ask that they have, or that's typically unrealistic? Or is there something that you offer as kind of like a golden nugget, like, hey, I'm going to make your life easier by just telling you this kind of thing?
Yeah. So you'll love this from a graphic design standpoint is they have like a culture video on the homepage. And I'm off the bat, just get that crap out. Like, it's not going to stick. People just miss the video and go straight to like what they want to see.
Right.
But a lot of people also don't have client testimonials on their homepage.
Interesting.
And we see a lot that really builds the trust of the user by adding the client testimonials to the homepage. And a sweet spot is between 3 to 5. If you can get 5, that's solid.
Okay.
Right. And yeah, not every user is going to be like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. Let me click on that. Like, no one's going to read all 5, but it's your reputation. It builds the trust of the user, and it's there. They're not stupid. They see it. They're like, cool,
right.
Awesome. I'll read this one because it's the first one that loaded, and then they'll keep going.
Yeah. And to me, it feels like that's an easy way. Like, if you're having trouble with your storytelling, like, you can often like just use somebody else's words to kind of make the point for you. Like, they were great, they did this, you don't have to worry about crafting some great message because it's a real person that's talking for you.
And their messaging, I would say that would probably be the biggest thing, is because what I'm saying is, okay, add a section block for client testimonials, right? That's pretty easy from a design development and just getting those testimonials from Yelp, Google, wherever you get in from for your clients. But then really it's the messaging. Like, they talk more about, it's like LinkedIn. Here's all my accomplishments, my resumes and stuff. I don't really care what the heck you did. I don't care you're number 1. Everyone says they're the best in the world.
Right.
What separates you from them? Talk to me. Why should I keep scrolling?
Exactly. For me, I'll ask, what would your customer say? Like, what tell me what. Yeah, hey. Show me a customer interview you did recently. Right. What did they say about what you're great at? Otherwise.
Oh, you're talking for the customers' reviews.
Yeah.
To get that on their website. Yeah. That's actually the best insights that you can do. Is really just pick up the phone and call. Right. And just set up a meeting and really talk through it with them. I even do that with prospects. I said, how do you hear about us? Yeah, because we'll do a website consultation. They'll like DM me on LinkedIn. And we set up a 30-minute website consultation. And then I asked them, before we jump in for marketing research purposes, how did you hear about me on LinkedIn? And a lot of them have been Google. A lot of them have been, we literally just used the search bar on LinkedIn and typed in a developer or website development, and you were the top one that came up. Or my CTO has been following you for some time and just sent me your LinkedIn profile URL to contact you.
That's the weird one where I've had that before, where somebody from some random agency somewhere said, like, yeah, I've been following your content for a while. And I'm like, you literally never liked or commented on anything I had.
The lurkers.
But I appreciate that. And I would be more than happy to give you a demo.
Yeah. I've had a lot of those. I was on one with 2 weeks ago, right? A little lurker. And he's like, Jesus, I feel like I know you already. And I'm like, this is the first time we talk and on Zoom. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're in my feed for WordPress website development. You give good tips, good practicals. I literally open up the tab. I'm doing this and this. I love pictures of your son. What's his name? Like, it's like he really knew me, right? I was like, all right, internet creeper.
There you go.
I was like, can I get a like?
You know how this works, right? Like you like it, LinkedIn boost it a little bit more.
Right.
That's classic.
Anyways, but yes, do you have any other questions? These are great questions.
I know. I think, it's good, man. This is great.
Awesome. Well, Matt, you've been awesome. I've enjoyed having you as a guest, and thanks for your time. And we will definitely keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.